from 7 p.m. on Wednesday to 9 p.m. So basically, it's what I'd hope is more of an open studio session, but with artists and aspiring artists being able to draw the human figure. So really, we do provide some easels, boards, etc. Some amazing models, of course, but mainly it's kind of like a safe place for people to explore their skills, to learn, and to kind of grow as artists and be in that community. The one thing I would say is it's not so much as an actual class. We do have a really tight-knit community where people will help each other out, but I'm not saying I would say per se a teacher, but really it's more people can come and learn, they can come and practice. It can be any skill level. We have some people that start out with little basic shapes like a stick figure. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But honestly, if people want to bring their own supplies, a lot of times we have many artists come in and bring ink or oil paint and that sort of thing, and that is perfectly amazing. So I encourage everybody to bring their own materials. We do have drawing pads, charcoal, and pastel, and I believe graphite as well. And I think we've got about 5 or 6 easels and around the same amount of boards. But really, I just ask that as people are available to do 10 or pay what you can, just to be able to provide, to take care of our amazing models so that they can be appreciated and be able to pay their bills too. Honestly, it kind of almost felt like a necessity to me. Mark James, who was a former owner of Open Gallery, was looking out for a new figure drawing poster facilitator because his former one, Mike Nusser, ended up traveling. And so I'm like, well, what are the expectations? So the more I started talking to him, the more I'm like, I don't want this figure drawing to end. It's something that keeps me drawing. It's something that's important to me. So I started being like, well, why can't I do it? So, and that was around May or June 2013. I started talking to Mark about it. And, well, it's been pushing ever since then, and I think developing pretty well. So.
I draw and paint sometimes. I feel like coming to these classes makes you want to be a little more diligent with your work, like just being around people creating a lot. So it's nice.
Yes, I'm a beginner in art. I just kind of started like a few months ago. Just from looking at the various styles that you see here at Open, I have learned a lot. I'm learning to apply that onto the paper that I'm drawing on. And my work has been coming out pretty good.
I'm not a visual artist, but I'm a musician. And I'm supportive of artistic endeavors just in general. So I can't relate to being able to translate what I see to paper with any kind of tool. But like I said, I'm a musician that thinks creatively, and I'm happy to do what I can to help other people practice their passion.
I've worked in and out of a couple art galleries now and fell into Julie's lab at Open, so I play a little bit on the side also, but no, I can't draw to save my life. Stick with the modeling.
Well, I'm a massage therapist, so I mean, to me, the human body is almost like interpreting it with my hands, with working on people, seeing them. It's very interesting to me to think about the muscles in terms of a person in front of me, is like what muscles they're using, and even when I'm posing the model, to think about which muscles and where they're shifting their weight. So to me, it kind of goes on both sides of my brain, really. So I do like doing a fair amount of abstract work too, but it works together.
I think that certainly some people have a natural propensity towards certain skills that maybe you pick up on when you're younger, or maybe you had no idea, but maybe you try drawing when you're older, and like somebody's like, "How did you do that?" But with with anything, practice is what is required to get good or get decent, or so a propensity can be there, but even if there's not, efforts is always going to beat out talent anyway. So
I think that you have to have that drive to push yourself to actually go further. I mean, you can be super talented, but if you don't keep doing it, then I mean, where's it gonna go? But like, for example, when I was in middle school, I took a piano class, and I am not gifted musically like Ben, but I could play the keys, but I mean, for me, it wasn't a gift, and I can still learn it. But I mean, and I can keep playing it, and if I love it, then I'll keep doing it. But I mean, I think with art, anyone can learn it, because it's really a matter of breaking down shapes, like general shapes, and bringing down almost like a visual graph of what lines up with what in space. So you can think about it, and it's a lot that I think anybody, if they believe in themselves, can put and do it.
when I told my mom that I was modeling for art classes, like, she became concerned, like, oh no, what if you want to run for office or something someday? Like, there's going to be nude pictures of you out there. I don't know. So that's what someone in an older generation was concerned about. And I was like, Mom, they're drawing it. Like, maybe it'll resemble me if they're good. And besides that, I don't know. I'm proud to be contributing to an artistic endeavor. So I don't consider it anything to be ashamed of in that kind of way. And if anybody else projects shame onto anyone involved in it, then whatever. Like, not worried about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What they say?
She was like, I never had the nerve, go for it.
That's awesome.
Well, I think the conception that society put on what is beautiful, I think having a figure here at when you're drawing, it kind of take that away, because what is beautiful is always in the eye of the beholder. People come in all different shapes and sizes. God made everybody different for a reason, because a lot of people think that there's a such thing as what's normal, or you gotta have a certain weight to be beautiful. But in the artist's eyes, they see you for who you are, and who you are is beautiful. We are God's greatest creation. No matter what religion you are, they all will agree that the human body is God's greatest creation, and that is beautiful in itself.
I just really like drawing and painting the figure, so I don't know, I just thought one day that it would be kind of cool to see what it's like to, have other people create you.
Yeah, I agree with her. I started modeling when I was younger, and when I seen the opportunity to start modeling again, I mean, I couldn't hesitate but to do it. I love art. I grew up around art. Art is everywhere, from the UPS sign logo you see to the McDonald's art. That is all art.
I'm a yoga instructor, so I had another yoga instructor acquaintance ask me if I would be interested in doing it, because she needed a sub or something from a gig that she had to model. And so that's how I got my foot in the door, and it was, I'm happy that I have. Like, it was something that I always would have been open to, but didn't know how to find it anywhere, but eventually made some contacts, and it's a good way to just practice sitting really still.
I was at a bar with a bunch of mutual friends, a couple very well-known artists from here, and one of them said, "Hey, you'd be great at this." And he'd drawn me in the past, and then another friend who'd already been drawing here said, "Hey, you'd be good at this," and contacted me with Julie. And I just experienced a pretty major loss in my life, so I was looking for something to help ground me, really. I'm scarred. I'm heavily tattooed. It's very exposing to be in a room full of strangers, but it's also very freeing.
Yeah, and I think that all comes from what society, again, put on what is beautiful. Just like if you're overweight, got stretch mark, or you've been in an accident and you got scars, or you handicapped, all those play a part on your emotions and how you feel about yourself. And if you don't accept yourself for who you are and believe that you are beautiful, then yeah, it's
so
going
hard
to be
for many people to do
yeah,
that. I mean,
it is hard. And that's why for a lot of people, it will be hard for them to do it because they haven't fully accepted themselves yet.
It's not so hard anymore.
you're really comfortable now, because at first I know it was pretty scary. At
Yeah, I
first,
was
so.
trembling uncontrollably those first couple of months.
But
Now
now
we're
I feel
good,
like you
yeah.
shine when
We're
you
good.
get out there. So, but
For me, at first, it was just, what is the etiquette here? Like, do I just like strip down in front of you guys? Like, so at first, I just figuring out how do we go about this, and then once clothes are off, then it's all good.
For me, because I was in a really severe car wreck, so certain positions I just can't hold.
Yeah.
And as long as everybody else, like you could, because you're in much better shape with the yoga stuff. Like I've got muscles that just won't manipulate that way anymore. So it was a little bit challenging to figure out how to get around those injuries so we can still.
You become experienced through doing it, kind of knowing I'm not going to be able to hold this for 20 minutes. Or, my leg's going to fall asleep if I try to sit here this way.
Yeah.
Or for any, like, so there's usually perhaps at the beginning of a session, we might do gestures, which are poses that might only last for a minute or two. And in those, you can hold about anything for only a minute. But you'd be surprised at how quickly, if you try to let your arms just like hold your arms like this and still for a minute, you'd be surprised how tiring that gets pretty quickly. So for a 20-minute pose, you really have to approach it like, I need to be able to sit comfortably so that I can be comfortable. Like, and there's always going to be a little bit of engagement, like making yourself look interesting, which I'm, as someone who's not a visual artist, like I have no idea what looks interesting, so I'm always asking, is this okay? Is this okay? What do you want? But yeah, certainly I imagine it's harder than most people think to not move at all for 20 minutes.
like 3 times I've done it when models haven't shown up or have issues with it. It's usually been once I start, you kind of almost have to be aware within yourself and like shift your weight. Like if you keep your feet and your body in the same position, but you just kind of move like what area you feel. Like if I'm sitting here right now and my foot's bothering me, then maybe I'll start slightly move my hip a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's still in the same position, but so I'm more aware. I'm feeling my hip more than I would my foot or something.
Yeah, there's little tricks to
So,
shift your weight without
yeah.
actually moving.
Because then that helps a lot, because I know one time when I was on that blue stool that Miranda's on actually, and I managed to make a wonderful mistake of putting my palm of my hand onto the little knob. And that was a wonderful feeling of pain for 10 minutes, and I was trying to figure out what else on my body I could shift or move to not feel it. So there's definitely, I feel like a hardcoreness that these guys have, really. So, I mean, more power to them, but yeah.
I feel like for me, I never really can capture much detail, but I don't know, it's better for me to just get things out quick and not really focus on it too much, like be free with it.
Like, if you're drawing a full figure, I think it's the eyes. 'Cause when-
You're great at eyes.
I know, that's why I make myself, that's why I practice eyes so much. I think it's the eyes, that's what I mostly have problems with. And once you get the eyes wrong, it's like everything else is out of whack, completely off balance. But you get them right, everything else just fall right in line.
Hands. They always end up looking like claws or mitts when I draw them, because if I can look at a hand, I can focus on it. But if I'm drawing you or something, like your human figure, and I'm like focusing on your torso, your legs, your feet, your head, and then I'm like your hand, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, that hand, it's such a weird structure, and trying to get it down, it kills me. So.
Well, I think I'm gonna be doing it for a while. I think I started when, like, right after Open started. So I've been,
2013.
that's right. So in October of this year, I'll be actually modeling him for 4 years. And I will continue to do it because right now, Louisville is like the center for art. I'm not saying it's the best place for art or the biggest place for art, but if you're looking for art, you're gonna find it here. You got so many talented people, and when they draw me, and I look at myself, I feel like I'm a part of something. 100 years from now, or 200 years from now, art is still gonna be around. And when they're when our grandkids gonna be in the history class talking about the history of art, they're gonna be probably talking about the Julies or the Parkers or the Claudia Hammers or the Mirandas. They're gonna be talking about them in the class, because this is where it at now, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
I've been here for about a year. I started figure modeling a little bit before then, and dabbled with photography modeling and such before. But yeah, I plan on sticking with it. I don't want to go anywhere anytime soon.
I appreciate the opportunity for supplemental income.
And
It's a really fun atmosphere to always be in, so I kind of want to do it for a long time. It's always refreshing to go into a class every now and then.
I think that what I'm thankful to have, see everybody every Wednesday is it's such an easy growing group of people. Like, I try and talk to people on the phone about when people ask about modeling. I'm like, you don't understand. We're so easygoing, and people laugh and joke, and it's really kind of a group of introverted people hanging around and doing their own thing and joking and having music on and drawing. So, I mean, that's my opinion of it. I don't know about them, but like for me, I think it's a pretty easygoing group. But we have people like 20s, 50s. I think one of the guys here is in the 70s, but I'm just thankful to be a part of something that I feel like I can impact people and encourage them to, get to know people they might not have known, and, create. Because, like, for me, I didn't draw for like 4 or 5 years after college because I thought my work was shit. Like, he was like, oh, I can never do anything with art. My stuff's not good. Like, I should go look at things that are marketable, like things that are math or science or things that are hard for me. But like, I started getting back at it, and back before the sessions was mine, before the person before me. And I'm like, you know what, this is what I need. This is what I need to actually feel like happy, like I can breathe again.
I just want to thank Julie.
Yeah, thanks, Julie.
Thanks.
It builds a bit of community, kind of what Julie was getting at, that how you see the same people every week that are coming to practice and do their thing, and with that comes it's spreading positivity. People are coming to practice something they're passionate about, and anytime you're able to pursue a passion like that, there's fulfillment in there somewhere. It might not happen every time. You might not like what you made or how you did on a particular night. And I'm trying to think, relate to drawing from being a musician. But when you get to practice your passion and you're around a positive group of people that, you're all encouraging each other, it's really positive.
And I think art gonna be around for a long time. I know you hear a lot of talks about them taking art out of school. I mean, whether it be music, drawing, singing. Art was around since the beginning of civilization. Before people could read and write, they beat on drums. They drew paintings on the cave wall to communicate, and there's no stopping them. People are naturally artistic.